RTILA is not just an automation software, it's an automation software making software. So now that you have
factory building factories,
it's a tooling, in a way. It's a tooling, it's a tool that makes tools.
It's our pleasure to have you here. So welcome.
Thanks, Mikhail, and thanks for having me here. Yes.
So where are you right now? What is your current location? I noticed that there's multiple countries in your profile.
Yeah, so. I traveled a lot. I lived in almost all the continents, but right now I've been living in Mauritius for the last 2 months.
Oh, nice.
Yes, a bit of diagonal from you.
Oh, that's true. The same time zone. So
yes,
I've been actually in Mauritius as well. It's a beautiful island.
Yeah, it's cool, and they're doing well also at the digital level. So you think that if you have a software,
is that so?
Yeah, they've made a lot of progress.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You could say it's the Estonia of the African continent.
Wow! All right, that sounds great. Because when I was there, it's I don't know, 14 years ago. No, okay, maybe 10 years ago or 7 years ago, actually. Yeah, something like that. Times fly, times just fly so fast. So, but yeah, I remember that I saw some sort of, some articles about Mauritius trying to get a lot of like banking and economics people there, like all over the world, and they were trying to build this like a new financial center there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, I really like the idea, and that is the way to go. I didn't even realize that there's a startup community in it. So
yeah, I think it's getting good. I mean, once you plug your country into one of the major optic fiber cable for internet, you have an island and the beaches, and then with very good infrastructure and some good policies as well.
Very true.
Yeah,
very true. How long have you been there now?
2 months, so I'm pretty new.
Oh, okay. So you just came there. Nice.
Yeah. It was a very calculated decision.
And where did you come from? Before you went to Mauritius.
I'm French Moroccan. I'm born in France, and I'm French citizen, but I also have a Moroccan citizenship because our family is from there.
Right. So then Mauritius is perfect for you.
Yeah,
then.
They speak French. They speak English. It's very multicultural. Yeah. It has a bit of an Asian vibe, So you're in the African continent, but with an Asian touch. So it has also, the history brings so many different people together. You have Europeans, you have Asians, Africans, all living here pretty nicely together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell something about your current company, the RTILA. Or did I pronounce
That's right? Yeah.
RTILA.
So let's start with the etymology, the meaning of the name. So like I told you, my origins are from Morocco. And actually this software was created in Morocco by my partner, Tariq. So when he chose the name, RTILA means, in the North African dialect, it means the spider.
Okay, so that's the reason why you have the spider logo on it.
Yeah. So it matches the ambition or the activity of the software, which is going on the web and spreading your competitiveness, let's say, through automation. So that's what it means, RTILA. It means spider, and it does what it says. So we started as mainly a web scraping software. That was like the first strength, but then you evolve, and then the users, they guide you, and so now it's really going into like full-fledged automation, even bridging to APIs, RPAs, desktop automation, web automation. So once you start to put your finger in these kind of things, you get drawn into so much. You want to do so much more. So that's where we are right now. Actually, we just went out of being a top tier web scraping and data mining, and now we're entering the space of bringing that power of getting the data into linking it to ChatGPT, data analysis, data formatting, and then marketing. The whole marketing space can be automated as well. So now the software can take you like from the origin of the data up to the last mile of your data, which is usually monetizing or building traffic and so on.
So can you walk us through about the like ideal case where this would be beneficial? Let's say, because me and Artem, we are both growth hackers. So of course we are interested on all these, the whole journey from finding somebody and turning them into clients. So if you can walk us through like a hypothetical perfect scenario where all these different steps RTILA would be beneficial.
Yes. So there are two schools, or let's say two approaches. Yeah. You have the how you call it, the heavy bombardment approach, where you try to target everybody. So you like mass scrapping information, then mass mailing, mass contacting, mass everything. That's one way, which our software can support very well. Because the way we've built it is that it consumes the minimum resources in terms of CPU, RAM. So and then it's really stable. So you can we've run automation flows that lasted for 200 hours in one go. So 200 hours it was running and collecting like 100,000 data sets raw. So for that part it's good. But I think the scenario where it could be more interesting for your case is that we now have this capacity where you can spot the intent and then activate your automation. So you could set up RTILA to look at certain influencers who talk about your industry. And as soon as they post and there is this keyword or that keyword, then whoever comments, whoever reacts means that they are interested in this subject. Now I know when they are interested, which is right now in the last few minutes. Then I can activate a whole flow that is like, you have the intent, but also you will be the first one to reach that person or that group of person who manifested the intent. And I think that is even more powerful.
So, but how, so is it like you can add it to your social media account and then they are going to send like direct messages or something like that? Or is they're going to, is that able to find like emails or
you have different approach.
Phone numbers or something?
The easiest way is that you already identify the sources where people post information and people react to that information that you're interested in. And then you set up a scheduler. So RTILA would go and check every 5 minutes, every 1 minute, every 1 hour, whatever you wish. And then you give it, we have conditional logic. So you can say that if this keyword appear, then initiate this flow. If that keyword appear, initiate that flow. And then you build your logic and then you just let it and it will be like surveilling that space. And then pinpoint, because you can, as soon as somebody comments, you can do like you can send the message of that person to ChatGPT and get like what's the main ID behind they want to buy, they want more information. You can fine tune it, and then depending on the ChatGPT classification of that message, then you can also initiate a different flow. And then once you do that, now you know that somebody is interested in something right now, and you can be super customized in terms of your approach to that individual or that company. So you can, for example, now that you have the nickname or the name, you can also use APIs or use another flow. RTILA can connect to Apollo.io or any kind of contact source where you can get the email, the Facebook, and so on. And then it grabs databases, then you grab that data, and then in the next 1 minute, you've crafted a custom message right on time, in the right place. You can answer within that flow. You can get RTILA to answer there to that message, and at the same time shoot an email. So meaning that in the next 5 minutes that somebody manifested an interest about something that relates to you, you're the first one in their inbox. You're the first one in their panorama, let's say.
So so this is basically like Zapier, but with this crawling and like buyer intent.
That's right. And also it works even if there is no APIs. So because we can use APIs if they are available, we have an API bridge command. But even if there is no API, let's say the data is somewhere that there is no API, you can send RTILA to use that name, go and crawl, I don't know, in a university list, something, and get the data still. So yes, we also have an integration with Zapier. So you could trigger RTILA from Zapier. Let's say there is an event somewhere on your Google Sheet or anywhere. And then you say, as soon as X happens, I send this data and this data to RTILA, to this flow. And then RTILA will do that flow and send back the data to Zapier for your next action. But you can also very well start with RTILA, because the good thing about RTILA is that it can really bridge the gaps between different automation softwares. So you can have the whole flow in RTILA, and then use Zapier here. You use another tool right here. You use maybe a script, a Python script, you use a folder on your computer that has some data, and then RTILA can go and pick from it. So it's really versatile. This is pretty recent. Like I told you, we just opened this door. But it's so much more powerful right now.
Yeah, because I went through you had a RTILA in AppSumo for quite some time, and I went through the reviews. By the way, you had excellent reviews. It was like 4.5 out of 5, so it was really good one. And a lot of people were talking about the scraper possibility, what you can do with that one. So yeah, but I think that's a smart move to go toward more this the full automation stuff. Can you show what kind of how the actual process goes? Because as we are also recording this as a video, so people who are watching this as a video, they can see what your software actually looks like and how you can build this kind of stuff. Because that sounds fantastic. Also, it sounds really difficult, but based on what I read from the AppSumo and all the other reviews, people said that it's actually really quite easy to use already.
Indeed. Maybe I can clarify where the perception of being complicated comes from. It comes from the activity itself. You're automating websites that sometimes they obfuscate. So what you see on the website is not really what is coded in the back. So there's so many subterfuge and techniques to block people from automation. So that creates sometimes expectations that are not aligned with the level of effort that you need to do. But then the return on investment, that's what is important. If I put 1 hour on RTILA, I know for sure I'm going to get 10 times more out of it. That is what is important. So no matter where the level is of difficulty, I will get my return on investment. And I can show you something pretty simple that I think can express what I said. So just
absolutely share the screen.
Yeah, share the screen. And it's actually a real case that we just got yesterday. So it was a request from a client that was just asking a question: can RTILA help with getting an order from Squarespace, and then copying the data and then getting the order fulfilled in another system called Ingram Spark, which doesn't have API. There is no plugin, no API. So I did it in like half an hour, and I can show you if I inspect the code. It took me more time to actually create the account on Squarespace and on Ingram than doing the flow. So where RTILA sometimes looks very different is that you see here, we build stuff in a vertical way, in a nested vertical way. When the other software, they build like a horizontal cascading approach, which is much more pleasant visually speaking. But in terms of logic and power, we think that this gives more granular control. And so what you can see here is that I organize my flows into folders, and then I can collapse and uncollapse my folders. So the first thing, for example, that I had to do right here is let's log into the 2 websites. So if I open here the login to Ingram, I use the command called go to URL. I put the login page, and I can click on the run command, and it's going to go to this page, this login page. Yeah. And then you give it, and then I give it a bit of wait time. I say wait 10 seconds that everything comes up, which is now the case. And then I used a populate command, which is very easy to add. You just click on new command, and then you would go and search for populate, and then you click and insert, yeah? But I've already done it for now. So I use like very basic commands where I say that you're going to populate my email into this field. And this field is using this CSS locator, yeah? So we have a point and click where you can click here and then select this field, and then it will populate the CSS locator for you. So that's the basic of it, how it works. And then it clicks on login. So sorry, it goes and populates the password after the email, and then it's going to click on the login button right here. And then we wait a little bit, yeah? And then we click on accept all cookies, a few things that can help. And that will log us into the Ingram. And then I have another folder here is to log into Squarespace. So I do the same. I go to that URL. I populate the email field. I populate the password. So I will have to go to Squarespace login first. So you get the concept. and I can clone, like when I do a first group, I can clone it, and then I can reuse it and change just the CSS locators and my data for the next website. So you can save time by cloning you see here, the clone command. You can clone a whole group of commands. So that's what I did here, just like to stay brief, but give you the principle. Once I log in into both websites, the good thing is that RTILA keeps the login session. You don't have to log in again. And now you can navigate from one website to another, picking up some information from here, pasting it there, without having to log in again. It will manage the session for you. So now I close up my login session. Now what I want to do is that I need to go to Squarespace, and I'm going to go to the URL. You see, this is my admin URL where their orders are. So that's where you click. It will bring you there. I don't remember if I'm logged in or not. And again, you give it a bit of wait. So it's always good to wait a little bit longer. Sometimes the internet can be slow. So you see, it brings me to the order page. And then what I tell it is that click on the first order on this button, client name, yeah? So it's going to click there. It's going to open this little window. And then here, I use what we call a selector command, which goes into a specific place in the page here to grab this data, because if I'm going to fulfill this order, I need to know what is the product. So I go to the last order, what is the product name, and I save it into this DOM selector variable, and then I transfer the value of this variable into a static variable which will like conserve it over different websites. So now my data, this product name will be conserved there, and that's it. Now I can go to the fulfillment website where I already logged in earlier. Yeah, so that's Ingram Spark. Yeah, and then it will go to the page where I choose the product, and then I enter the product name and so on. So now I lost the how you call it? I lost the login here, but what I can show you is something very fast. I did a video, so I captured it on video just yesterday. Can I play the video and then it will,
nice.
will just show us?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I explain, and then I share the template as well with whoever wants to. So the first step, like I showed you, is to log in on both websites, right? So I started with Google just as a start page, but the first step is to log in into Ingram Spark. It's waiting that 10 seconds timeout. And here you see it start to type my credentials.
Oh, nice. Okay, so this is done by the bot.
This is done by the bot, and it's exactly like a human. It really looks like a human.
That's true.
So now I'm logged in. That's it for that first step. Now it's going to go to Squarespace and log me in into Squarespace.
So this is still done by the bot.
Yeah, right now it's like you're hands-free.
It's just, wow. Yeah, because, I just wanted to confirm, because this looks like you are actually doing something here.
Yeah, you see the mouse is stuck there. So the bot is doing the job right now. It knows where to log in and where. So now we have logged in into both places. Now it goes back to the e-commerce website where the order is. So there it goes into the last order. It opens it. It's going to get that retail ebook one, which is the product. And I did an alert command to show you that we're getting indeed the right book name, So then you can click OK. And now it got the data. And of course, you can add more data like the client address and so on, to properly fulfill the order. But right now it's moving into Ingram Spark, and it's going to enter that product name in the title field, and it's going to search it. And because I don't have products on Ingram Spark, I didn't go all the way, but I just want to show you to see it's really that book that has been entered. And now it's searching right here, but I don't have products. But you can see that the bot has inputted the last product of the last order. And just like it did so, it can select the item that you want to fulfill, and then you can paste the customer name, the customer address, the customer phone number, and then click fulfill. So this was done it took me like, of automation development, it took me like half an hour. But to create the accounts, it took me also half an hour.
Yeah, that's true. And so this is perfect when you have tasks that require repetitive continuous, repetitive, exactly. Manual work all the time. So you can just put these bots to do it for you, and then
Yes.
that's it. You can
Yeah.
just sit back and relax.
I mean, there is,
yeah.
It's like we are in an age that if you don't automate, you're dead, commercially speaking, business-wise, because life is competitive. So if you as a human, you don't add value, the machines will like annihilate you, so
for
we
sure.
have like, as business people, as even just as humans, like, what is the added value that I can add so that I don't have to do repetitive things? If it's repetitive things, can I find a way to automate it? I mean, it's not only about RTILA. Zapier is a fantastic example. There are so many other software. How can I release my human time to go and do a higher value input? And I would say that, and that's also where we are going and where we are investing, is that the combination of automation with AI is like exponential 4, not times 2. It's really an exponential competitiveness that you gain as a business. So you said, yes, it's appropriate for things that are repetitive, but actually it's also appropriate for other things as well. It doesn't necessarily has to be a repetitive. It can be analytical. So you're not going to spend 4 hours of human time to analyze the sentiment or analyze something. You're going to go and get RTILA to get that data, send it to ChatGPT, get the intent and sentiment, and then do X and Y and Z without reading that content. You can set up RTILA to send you alerts when things go wrong, which is very useful for a business. So you can set up alarms that, I don't know, if my SEO, if my speech score on this website goes below, send me an email. You can place a lot of little things, little bots that run every hour, every day, that kind of, each one is doing a little thing that you can remove from your brain and release your memory, CPU, and RAM.
So basically, this is kind of like the, I'm sure you have heard the auto dev, this software that creates basically a group of GPT bots that are doing different parts of the development process in the agency.
That's right.
So you can build this kind of like a robot army to do manual stuff, and they can this absolutely makes sense. So what kind of clients how you get your own clients right now? What is the best way to get it in your point of view, and what type of people and companies they are, what they're using this most?
So we have a particular history which explains why we have a certain type of users at the moment, or we are appealing to a certain type of user. Is that I was a customer of RTILA just a year back, so I joined the team. So
okay, so you didn't even co-found this one?
No, and I'm
okay.
now. I mean, I came pretty early, so that now I'm considered the co-founder. But I didn't build it. I didn't build the first instance of it. Yeah, I used it as an early customer. So like 10 years ago, I started to really invest time in automation. I tried a lot of automation softwares and using Python, using either programming languages and then hiring expensive Python developers, or trying to get software. So I've gone through that journey of a business person who just want to automate, and I want my automation to be resilient. Because if I spend 20 hours, 50 hours into building a flow, I don't want it to die after a week, or because I calculate my return on investment. So I tried so many softwares, and then I couldn't find a software that was resilient enough. Like either the software bugs while you're using it, or it's very sensitive to something. And then I got RTILA. I put my hands on it. I did an automation that I was doing with others, and then it runs it consistently, and it runs it for hundreds of hours. So I thought, oh, there's something different about this software. It's ugly. It's very hard to use. That was like version 3, 4. You had I mean, people say that
built by developers.
That's what I was where I was going at. It was built by Dr. No engineers.
Yeah, exactly. They work like a charm, but they look awful.
It looks awful, but it's like a 4-wheel drive engine that was put in a Lada car. But if you go in the car, if you go beyond the first perception and so on, just the noise of the car, just the rumbling of that thing, that this is going to do the work. So that was my first experience. I said, oh, there's something right here. Let me reach out to the founder, and maybe I just wanted to give advice. I said, hey guys, you have a fantastic tool right here, but if you did A, B, and C and so on, yeah, it can do better. I'm happy to be your test test user, whatever, and so on. And then we started like interacting like that, and then I think we synced well with Tariq. And then basically Tariq said, no, why don't you be part of it? So I jumped in, and now we're driving this little monster together.
And is your whole team now in Mauritius, or
no?
are you
So
spread
it started in
across the
Morocco.
world?
So Tariq built the first version.
Okay.
He's from Morocco, and then he was joined by another very talented engineer. His name is Roberto. He's from Spain. Yeah, and at that time I was living in Rwanda. So I was in East Africa, in Rwanda, in Kigali, and then I joined as well.
And how did you end up there?
In Rwanda.
Yeah, Rwanda is, it's that, I have to say, but I'm not sure that it's gonna be it is not a startup hub right now. Or
well, you'll be
am I wrong?
You'll be surprised. Yeah. No, the African
really?
The African
Okay.
continent is in an acceleration ramp.
Yeah.
It's really
I noticed that Nigeria is going.
Nigeria, yeah, of
going
course. Nigeria
pretty
has
fast
been
with the technology
always
stuff. Yeah.
Nigeria as an African country has always been preceding us with South Africa. But then you have Kenya, which is pretty big in the software development industry.
True. Yes,
you have
right.
Rwanda, which is smaller but super active. So I was sent there. I was recruited by the German Ministry of Cooperation to go and build the national platform for the country for e-commerce. So that's how I landed there.
All right.
And in the process, you know, when you build the national platform, you have so many vendors to deal with. It's a marketplace like an Amazon. It's called Rwanda Mart. So there was no way that we can build something in an efficient way unless.
And what is the user base for that?
The user base is small and medium enterprises that have beautiful products in Rwanda, but they don't have the means, financial and technical, to put up an e-commerce website. So we built like a small Amazon, you know, that is owned by the country, owned by the community, that has fulfillment, physical fulfillment of orders, payment integrated. You get your store, you get your blog, you know, and you just come take your photos and list them, and we teach you how to do. So that's what we've done, and you know, because this is like donors' money. This is the German people tax money who want to help the Rwandans. So like to get the best out of that goodwill, we use automation a lot, because then we get the best for every buck that is
you have
there.
to.
So I've been using automation extensively, and people love it. You know, it allows you to do things that you would have to charge like 5 times more if you don't use automation. So if you use automation, you reduce your costs, you open up your doors to much more customers, because now you can reduce your costs and take in more. So it's a win-win for both sides.
So let's talk about the African startup culture, because I know I've been a little bit a part of Ambitious Africa project, which is the Finnish-based, you know, the guys who were inventing the Angry Birds. So
cool.
These guys, they pulled the Ambitious Africa project, and I was part of it when it was launched. And that was the time when I was actually seeing that how much the, you know, different African nations are, you know, getting on board all this like very high tech stuff. So, but now that you've actually lived there and, you know, you've been cooperating with them, what is your view now when we're looking, you know, the next 10 years or so? What is the future coming up there, and is it going to be the AI with, you know, that they are going to be excelling, or what is the thing?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mikhail. It's hard to say now, but like you can hear the sound of things coming up, when you were there. So my experience, because I've been to a bunch of African countries, So like I've been a lot in West Africa, East Africa, and North Africa. So I would say that the power of Africa, it's youth, the young people. You have a lot of young people that have time, motivation, and hunger. So you have those together, and you have like little Superman everywhere. So when you bring a technology, or if you bring an approach that is in the front edge of development. So if you bring AI right now in Africa, you bring AI, they're going to take it to a higher level than if you, for example, you had to set up a team. I'm just saying, like, let's say I'm from France. So sometimes when you're in a developed country, you don't really realize the capital you have and the advantages you have, and you may not be as hungry as a brother in Lagos, or as a brother in Cape Town or in Kigali, yeah. So you have those parameters, and because also locally in the African countries, you have much less other opportunities. There's 50% unemployment. We don't have the same. They don't have the same industry that we have in the West, where you may find a job and so on. So the opportunities of making money are much smaller. Therefore, technology is even more important. So, I think these two parameters of having a base of youth who want to learn, who are dedicated, they put time, they put energy, they put commitment, and if you bring them just the right ingredients, you're going to get a fantastic output. So, and this is expressed in our team, because as soon as we started to grow, we got Honoré from Rwanda, who's our next engineer. Right now he's doing fantastic jobs. He picked up RTILA in very quickly, and he's a JavaScript, Node.js developer. So you have those talents. They know, let's say, the main programming languages, but they may not know the context in which they can be applied, and they can have a multiplying effect, because they don't have that experience. For example, in Rwanda, you don't have the Microsoft, you don't have Google. There is no big software that opens a branch there. So as a local developer, you're not going to get that exposure that if you were in the Bay. If you're in the Bay, you're going to maybe work with Facebook, work with Google, or with other startups. You learn the good processes, the good practices, the frameworks. You come up after 2-3 years, you have a much better idea. That's not yet available in Africa. So in a way, project like yours, a project like ours, when we were working with the German corporation, is providing that environment and that sandbox where we can bring that additional knowledge. So I think that's where the future is that maybe Western companies, they could be interested in building hybrid teams, with local people from your area and then some others from different countries, and then sharing the opportunity. But not only sharing the opportunity, is that you also now have in your team people who have a different perspective of life. So they may tell you, hey, Mohamed, that's not how you sell things in Kenya or in Rwanda. That's not the way things. Hey, wait, you think that works? It doesn't work, because the internet here has microcuts. So you have to review all your proxying and networking. Oh, I didn't think about that. Now, when I optimize,
that is
it's so
true.
Critical.
Yeah.
So, when we were optimizing our marketplace for Rwandan connections, guess what? It makes it 10 times faster for Europeans and Americans, because it's super optimized, So those
absolutely.
little gains, on the long run, they make sense.
I just noticed that Elon Musk just tweeted that now the Starlink is now available in Rwanda and Mauritius, and I had to Google, but also Sierra Leone. Obviously, it's also part of it.
You're right.
I think, at least in Rwanda, he was saying that now it's available there. So that is giving more opportunities.
It's huge, yeah.
More and more.
Rwanda was the first African country, I think, who got Starlink. I was there when the news came in. It was it was really refreshing. I think that's a smart move.
It's funny how it all these big these teleoperators and those companies, they've been like, we've been trying to build this internet coverage to Africa, and they haven't been just able to do it, and then just Elon comes and there we go.
No, but it's even nuts. More impressive, because this is not a business decision. Why would you go to a country that has 8 million people who have no money? You see the point. No company would go and do that, because it's a loss-making adventure. So something else is guiding as well Elon Musk. Maybe he really wants to, because also for them it costs the same, because you're in low orbit, whether you broadcast to Rwanda or Kenya, which is 10 times bigger, it's the same. You're staying in the signal anyway. So I think they must have a kind of a business principle that let's democratize things. Let's not live.
Well, he's from South Africa anyway,
so
he knows the thing, and also I think it is also an investment in the future, because when you are allowing this kind of stuff happen and actually letting people to learn more about AI and all that stuff with, via Starlink, that they get the internet and start to learn stuff. You can actually, you create new, very talented workforce. That's what that you said earlier, is that, there's the youth, and when they are learning all these like the newest technological stuff in development part and all that, you actually generate so much more wealth and bring the whole country actually from the poverty.
No,
So
definitely.
that
I
is
think with
beautiful.
this development, like look out for the African continent. Not only the African continent, you can look out like for any country that so far was like landlocked and remote, like I don't know, Mongolia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is already doing very well, but like countries that you would have thought are insignificant, now soon they're going to be super competitive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the automation stuff, if you're putting that to this whole environment, it basically democratizes the whole world, because now people from, that doesn't matter where you're coming from, but if you're learning how to do automation parts, and that's that is like all the countries and developers are in the same level right now. This is still, you've been doing that 10 years, and you have been actually one of the first early adopters in the automation part, because 10, 12, 15 years ago it was almost non-existent.
Yeah, I do.
And now people are just learning about all the even like Estonia and Finland as well. We do quite much of automation because we're own growth hackers, and it's kind of makes sense to automate stuff. And we are now teaching big corporations how to automate stuff. The most of the things that seem automated, they are actually manual labor work, and there's just a lot of people doing it, but it's just so expensive that companies are running out of money. They can't scale because everything is so manual, or they are very complex old programs and softwares that they are just not talking to each other, and there is no Zapier in the whole world that can solve these kind of problems because the code is so old.
That's exactly where
so
RTILA can do the job, because we can connect to legacy
exactly,
systems. Even unstructured data, you can build. That's the power of let's say web interface automation. But also you can read into an old SQL base, an old Access database. You can read into it through folders.
So is it safe? Because a lot of companies, when they are having these legacy systems and etc., one of the things that why they are not eager to change the new ones is that they are fragile, and also they contain so much of valuable information that can't leak outside of the ecosystem. So
yes,
how's RTILA's safeness? Is it GDPR compliant?
So I would put the question. If you don't mind, I would take the question in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there are different parameters that keep companies from moving away from legacy systems or legacy habits, because actually it's more of a habit than a system issue. So I had the case where we were working with an airline agency. They book flights and so on. They were still doing it in Access. They are still doing it in Access for some of them. Some of them have MS-DOS systems. Can you believe it?
It's like a museum.
Yes, are you still
digital museum? Like, wow.
They're still writing it.
There's actually not many people who can program those things anymore. Like all the young developers, they have no
they
clue.
don't. Assembler and stuff.
How to deal with that one.
But those things are actually unbreakable. They're super predictable. They're very low resource in they're very hard to hack as well, because how you get into that subsystem. So when
you have to physically go to the server, plug your laptop in.
So when you ask these people, like the management, you tell them, it doesn't make sense. Why don't you go into, I don't know, SaaS software or even a modern software and so on? So they tell you there are a few things. What I heard is, one, it took us forever to train our people to use that system. Our people are between 40 and 60 years old. We don't believe that our workforce can take the change. So sometimes it's a human resources department that comes in and say, training budget is going to blow up. So you have that. Second, you have their legacy system is talking to other legacy systems. So you have a dependency. So unless you can offer a solution to their environment, fix them all, and then bring them all together, then they would move. But they won't really move alone. Yeah. The third thing is that they actually, I think they're not exposed to the right people like you guys. Like, you need somebody who can have a comprehensive view of the whole business, from the origin of the data to the end life cycle of the data, and then show them that nothing will be lost. Everything will be transformed, but nothing will be lost. So whatever you have as of today, whatever benchmark you're at in terms of security, speed, productivity, it can only be better without compromising on security. So now, if somebody like you come and tell them, and we can use this tool and look what it does, and that tool and look what it does, and we can put this layer of security, you can run it on a disk drive, airtight, if you don't want to expose it to the internet. You know, you can show them those things that you have the skills to bring them to that journey. And I think that's where they start to, unlock their mind. And GDPR and privacy policy, and I think it's, in my experience, especially in the developing world, it does more damage than it does good.
I absolutely agree, 100%. I think GDPR legislation has been it's going to be the biggest problem in developing Europe to the next level. It's just hinders everything, especially when we're talking about AI.
Yeah,
it's just nuts. Yeah, you can train good AI when you are restricted from all the data.
Also, it doesn't make sense. Like, mechanically speaking, the idea of the internet is that it dematerializes things and spreads them over the world. And you come with a policy that brings back localization of IP packets. Like, it does. It's like you say, I want water to move in the air, but I want the drops of water in the air to stay on top of Germany and stay on top of the US. Then don't use air as a medium. Use a swimming pool or something. Now, the damage it does in Africa is very worse than the case you said. Is that it's very bad. I've been trying to. So before I moved to Rwanda, I was with the United Nations for 5 years in Geneva. So at least my responsibility in my department, we were about how can you benefit from digitization and boost your economy as a Ministry of Commerce or as a country. So you go to certain countries and you tell them, okay, we are here to help you to benefit from e-commerce, digital, and say, yes, privacy policy. Huh? Like, don't you want to know the benefits and how you can say privacy policy, data localization? We want the data to stay in our country. Already the discussion is out,
out of the window.
And then you tell him what kind of data localization you want when you are using Gmail to send us the email.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But now you're not applying data localization as an individual, but you want to apply it to your entrepreneurs, your IT companies. Now they cannot use Amazon Web Services. They cannot use Google powerful, most of the best.
Yeah, you can even use Google Analytics, and you can't use if you want to take your Google fonts and you don't want to download them locally, then that's GDPR.
It's a problem. Yeah.
So
now
that is
so now they're
annoying.
Shooting in their own foot, because now they're blocking the youth from actually developing their potential because of the data localization.
And the only thing is that they don't want people to get spam email.
It's actually
what they still get.
It's a different discussion.
It is, but that's the thing,
Yeah. Well, spam is like I don't know. It's an activity that existed before internet. People will come into your box and throw magazines. It's a human activity. True. So unless you understand it from a human perspective, like the spammer, if he does it, is because there is a return on investment and very little, fight back. So it's not the technology that creates that. It's a human endeavor. So making a policy that blocks a whole avenue of development because of spam, it just shows that there is no real mature knowledge of the subject. But it's coming up, because they've done that in the last 10 years, and then they realize, why e-commerce doesn't work in my country? Because you're blocking all the doors.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to think, wait, let's relax this. Let's relax this rule. Let's let them use AI. Let's let them use blockchain. Because unfortunately, developing countries, when they saw blockchain and cryptocurrency coming in, they freak out.
Mm.
So what they do is that they forbid.
But yeah, I mean, like, that sounds like the positive thing, for when you are able to learn all these new technologies like blockchain and AI. So the countries blocked those. Really?
Yeah. So really, I think you have to live in a developing country to understand the struggles. For example,
sure.
if you grow up only like me in France or like you in Finland, you never notice that it's hard to get US dollars, it's hard to get euros, because your currency is convertible. It doesn't really matter. But you are in an African country with an African currency, you have local money, you want to buy a Facebook ad for $10, you cannot change your local money into that $10, and Facebook is only accepting the US dollars. Now you can't access all this.
Yeah, those are the things that you never think about
unless you're exposed to it.
Jeez,
so all these little things make that, because the African economies are a bit more fragile, they really need, they call it foreign baskets of currencies. They need some euros, they need some dollars to pay for the oil, to pay for gas, for things. And they have so little of foreign currencies that they usually block their citizens from converting their local currency into a foreign currency and access foreign critical services. Sometimes they tax them. So let's say I'm a Rwandan company. I want to hire you in Finland or in Estonia or whatever, because you're the best at the best price.
Right. That is true.
Yes. So I want to hire you. Okay, Mikhail, I make a contract with you. When I'm going to hire you, because it's a foreign service provider, they impose a tax of 20%. Now you're making your people paying a premium on something that they could have had cheaper. Therefore, they will be less competitive. Because now I'm going to hire Mikhail at plus 20%. My competitor is going to hire Mikhail at the right price. Of course, he can do more with Mikhail, So sometimes these policies are really like hurting the development.
So why they do it like that?
So why they protect.
Why they don't embrace the?
It's fear. It's fear of running out of US dollar, running out of foreign currency. It's fear of these people will move the money out of the country. We don't have so much money. It's just fear. And unfortunately, that's the first human reaction. When you don't know something, you fear it. It's changing, but like a first generation has to be sacrificed, has to do like an incredible amount of effort, make it, come back and say, look, I was not going to cheat you. Look how much jobs I created in Rwanda now. I created 100 jobs. Had you let me move freely, maybe with plus 2 years, we would be 200 in the team.
Just more, yeah.
So these guys, this
10x.
first icebreaker generation, they're the one who will take the pain and hopefully they bring back the change. That's what we were doing.
So in your opinion, which countries right now in Africa are the most developed in this sense? Like they are embracing the newest stuff and, the AI and automation and blockchain and etc. Which are now the top countries for that? So
I don't want to talk about South Africa because South Africa has always been ahead of the continent.
Yeah, we can take
so
that
out. Kenya has really jumped on the wagon. They've done it pretty well. You have Ghana. They're doing very well, especially at the payment processing level and so on. You have Nigeria is always going to be in the picture just with the sheer size of their economy. You have Egypt, that is a huge economy, is going up very strongly. Morocco is actually catching up very well. Tunisia was very good until the recent years, unfortunately. But they were very competitive, Tunisia.
So what happened there?
Democracy came. It was supposed to make things better, but it messed up the whole thing. Some people, they just...
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Some people want a different or a different mode of leadership works better with them. It's just a human thing. So unfortunately, it takes time to even understand the concept of democracy. Even for the West, it's a 2,000 years of struggle from the Greek culture. It didn't come just like that. So yes, other countries that you need to look out to in terms of progress is Côte d'Ivoire in West Africa, Senegal, and a lot. So much potential. But these are...
Because the way I see is that if, if African countries, they are allowing people to experience AI more and learn how to use it. Like not just code and create new one, but just using it effectively, like automation and AI. They are actually becoming like hugely valuable assets, and like as Europeans, we are going to have a lot of trouble because of the GDPR and because there's so many other stuff that people can do that we can already see now that you can't use Google Bard in Europe. It's blocked. You can use ChatGPT, but no Bard, and for sure there's going to be so much more different kind of AIs that people can't use, and if they are not learning how to use AI and with that automating their stuff, they end up in like Finland and all these countries. We are actually end up doing things manually, whereas people in Africa, actually, if they are learning how to use and utilize AI effectively and automating their task processes, they actually become hugely valuable. And that is something that what I see in future in Africa.
No,
But I'm just
definitely.
seeing from this side. I haven't lived there, so I don't really know more than that's just my hypothesis.
It's
in
a
a
good
way.
hypothesis, and I can share with you an interesting, weird discovery I made in the African continent. Is that you would think that the more a country gets regulated, the more it progresses, which is to a certain degree it's true. You regulate your economy, you need a license for this, a license for that. Until a certain point where you regulate too much. Privacy policy, data localization, this and that, don't touch this, don't touch that, it's in America, it's in Germany, no. But then you don't have the equivalent in your own country. So if you block something from outside and you don't have the equivalent locally, if let's say you don't have a data center and AI models that are available locally, then why do you block such a beautiful opportunity? And the Europeans are doing the same mistake.
Exactly. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So now, when you
day.
travel in Africa, so I'll give you a very simple two neighboring countries, Rwanda and Uganda.
Okay.
Yes, pretty similar, so if I'm an entrepreneur,
both are famous of their
indeed,
history,
yes.
unfortunately.
Like if I'm an entrepreneur right now, after living 2 years and a half in Rwanda, if I have a startup idea that is like a little bit futuristic, I will benefit. I will do better in Uganda than Rwanda, because when I go to Uganda, there is no regulate. It's like the Far West, a little bit. They haven't regulated everything, so therefore you can pretty much do. You can experiment and do the things. Yeah,
whatever you want.
In Rwanda, they have a lot of regulations, but on top of regulations, they are very good at implementing laws and giving punishment.
Okay, so they are actually observing and following up with. Yeah, because in Greece you can just not pay taxes and that's it. You have the tax, but if you don't pay it, then you don't pay it.
In Rwanda, they're really good at implementing whatever law they decide to put. They're very serious. So it's fantastic because it makes things predictable and so on. But then on the flip side of it is that it hurts creativity, especially when it's a new domain like AI, blockchain. The country will need time and expertise before understanding what these things do for good and what they do for harm, and like packaging it nicely. So if I go to DRC or if I go to Uganda, I may be better off in the first 1, 2, 3 years to experiment with various things. The internet will be maybe less good, but if there is Starlink, then I don't have a problem. So that's what I wanted to share with you, is that sometimes you would think that the African countries who catch up and regulate like the developed countries are going to make it first. And I think sometimes you have pockets of zones or countries where actually they are lucky not to be too over-regulated, and they have more flexibility than us in other countries. It's a very weird, until you see it in front of you, it doesn't make sense.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing this kind of stuff. And it has been amazing to see your software, and it's still in AppSumo that you can, all the people who are listening to, they can go and grab their deal. That was really generous deals. Like, wow. Maybe it requires that you as a user, at least the ideology of how to code so that you understand the logic how to build stuff. So basically, it's kind of low code in a way. You don't have to code.
That's
what
right.
I understood. You don't have to code yourself, but it really helps if you understand at least the logic of coding.
Yes.
The framework.
So yes and no. I think it's also, it explains why you are selling services about automation, but not automation programming yourself. Just you as an example. Why are you successful in that? Is because you are able to understand the processes, the business processes. Before we talk about computer processes, the business processes. So that's where I want to come first, is that it's not that RTILA is complicated. Is that you need to clear your business processes first. Whatever you're doing online or on a computer, like, is it the right steps? Aren't you doing some loops within yourself, trying to do X and Y and Z, but going to this URL does that job of 10 steps that you are trying? So this is 90% of the failures or the overcomplication, in my experience.
You're 100% right. That is true. The most difficult part is always to understand your business processes. That's what we do every day with our clients. It's just trying to, even though they do their work every day.
Because
still,
as we say in French,
it's a mess.
You have la tête dans le guidon. You're driving the bicycle and your head is on the thing. You don't see the road. They need people like you.
Yeah, you don't see forest from the trees.
Ah, yes, that's the English one. You don't see the forest from the trees.
Yeah.
Thank you. So sometimes people come to RTILA, and then we help them with the first steps, and we tell them, it doesn't work because you're trying to put a sphere inside a smaller cube. Like, no software will do that. So you have to go there and there and there, and once you have the right shape for the right place, then you can automate. So we do that. We provide that assistance. Like, when you come to RTILA, like you said, it's a fantastic deal. It's not going to last. The first automation, we're in with the customer to be successful, because that first automation pays dividend a lot. First, the person realizes that most of the optimizations is in their head. And then they realize that the tool will only do what you tell it to do. Therefore, you have to be sure of what you want and so on. So we do that just for that self-realization. Once the people, they realize that, their second automation is much more fluid. They don't call us much, and they figure it out themselves.
So you do also actually helping your clients to achieve their goals. So that's a little different than compared to all the other companies.
And that's also where we try to be different in terms of a philosophy. So we're not here to just sell a software. First, we have to be honest with ourselves. All of us, we're here to make money. Like, why would you go and look at this unless your intention is to make money, convert time into money, either save time or make new time? So that's the first thing. Like, we are clear to ourselves. We and our clients, we want to make money. How can we make sure that when you use our software, you're going to make money? Time is money, money is time, yeah? So that's number one. We look at it in this way. The second differentiation is that, again, thinking of monetization, is that you, Mikhail, maybe when you are working with a client, you're going to spend 100 hours on developing an automation. Now, you've invested 100 hours. They pay you for that 100 hours. Now, that client of yours, they paid 100 hours for an automation flow. And that's already good value. And they pay you. Now, with RTILA, you can go next, second, third, fourth level. Is that you create the automation, you use it for yourself. Once you're happy, you compile it into a standalone software. We are almost the only one who do that without charging. No other software does that. There was Win Automation that did it before for $500 per compilation, $500 per compilation, or few $100.
Okay, that's pretty. Yeah.
And they stopped it altogether because they don't want you to create your own software. RTILA is not just an automation software; it's an automation software making software. So now that you have
factory building factories,
it's a tooling. In a way. It's a tooling. It's a tool that makes tools. So now when you think of that, now that the bargain is even better, the value is even better. So let's say you deliver that automation, or you teach your client. Once you're good with that automation, also you develop expertise around that automation. How about you turn it into a software or a SaaS and you sell it to your competitors and make money because you're already 2 years ahead. So RTILA will allow you, for the same amount of investment you did on one flow, to convert it into a standalone software, convert it into a SaaS, a service. And then when you how you say in English, when you when you reach the market, when you saturate your market, then give them an e-learning, teach them how you could do this. Now you sell the e-learning about that thing.
Exactly.
And then once they're satisfied and they stay with you, then you tell them, how about I give you strategic advisory and consulting? So you see, there's 3 more layers of monetization out of the same time that you have invested in that flow. That's I think what makes us
Very
different.
true.
That we invest on our clients so that they're successful.
Yeah.
And we give to our clients a frank and self-realization that we are all here to make money, and we want you to make more and more and more and more money of that time that you invested with RTILA.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
It's a lot of work, but please come in and join us.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So I recommend all the people go to RTILA.com and, give it a spin. It seems really good. Hey, Mohamed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for taking part of this one. This was eye-opening.
Thank you. It was
experience.
It was
Thank
likewise.
you very much, man.
Thank you very much. Bye, Mikhail.